Let's take a look at the city of York today. York is an iconic and historically rich city with roots stretching back nearly 2,000 years. It was originally founded in 71 AD as a Roman settlement and fortress. In the 9th century, Vikings conquered York and named it Jorvik. Thanks to unearthing enormous amounts of Viking artifacts as the current city of York was being built up, you can learn all about this Norse heritage by visiting the Jorvik Viking Center, a place our family visited on our first visit to York, but not on this trip. York thrived during the Middle Ages, and the medieval history of the city is evident nearly everywhere you look. York is also known for being the birthplace of Guy Fawkes back in April of 1570. This church next to York Minster is where he was christened. Coincidentally, I am compiling this video on the 5th of November, the day we remember this man who is infamous for being apprehended in 1605 whilst trying to carry out the gunpowder plot to blow up the House of Lords and assassinate King James I. This pub is capitalizing on its connection to York's most notorious son. The main reason for our trip was to tour York Minster, and I published a video last week with a full tour of that cathedral. Please check it out if you haven't seen it yet. I'll put a link in the description. After the Minster tour, we had a quick wander around the city streets before hopping in the car for our long drive back to our flat in Gloucestershire. We didn't have a chance to visit the Railway Museum on this visit or properly traverse the city walls. So we shall have to return yet again. In this video, I'll share a glimpse of York as we experienced it in our ramble through the Shambles. The most popular street in York for tourists to visit is the Shambles. This ancient medieval street with wonky buildings jutting out on both sides in a haphazard way is a delight to see, even though it is definitely crammed with tourists. Like me, guilty as charged. Its origin story is that centuries ago, the Shambles was a street full of butchers. The street's name comes from the word shammel, which meant stalls in which meat was displayed. This new version of the street was rebuilt in 1400, but the original street existed in 1085 when the Domesday Book was compiled. I think these days most people probably assume the street has its name because it looks like a shambles, a place full of chaos and crowds and nary a straight line. When exploring the Shambles today, you'll see that it is now a jumble of shops, all vying for their share of tourism dollars spent in York. Molly Brown's has a lot of magenta in the window. Harrogate, rum, and gin. Of course, I love the otter. Too bad. Won't be drinking any of it. Along the road, several themes emerge. First of all, fudge. You know, a British place is a magnet for tourists when it boasts nasty, dry, crumbly, mass-produced fudge in boxes with the name of the place printed on it, along with pretty pictures. Second, chocolate. There were also a number of other chocolate shops, including this chocolate museum called The Chocolate Story. I've visited another one of these type museums elsewhere in Europe, so I gave this one a miss. Third, magic and witchcraft. I think these shops are capitalizing on the popular rumor that Diagon Alley from Harry Potter was modeled after the Shambles. Sadly, that story is not true, but if you are a Harry Potter fan, you definitely can get a Diagon Alley vibe whilst wandering along the Shambles. If that inspires you to spend money in a shop called the Shop That Must Not Be Named, well, that's up to you. Trembling madness. As mentioned earlier, York has deep Viking roots, so merchants leveraged that opportunity to sell all kinds of Viking-related tat. Another touristy must is ice cream. A cat with a strawberry sundae. Of course, our gelato radar spotted this sign straight away, but my gelato-loving husband is a bit of a gelato snob and did not purchase anything here. And then there are other nonsensical tourist traps selling sweet treats, like this place selling New York-style cheesecake. No, just no. I was actually feeling rather peckish, but decided to veer away from the Shambles to find a dessert to eat. If you have followed many of my travel vlogs, you'll know that I try to eat local food whenever I can. But here in York, I did not have a Yorkshire pudding or a pie or anything truly northern. I was tempted to try the Yorkshire pudding wraps at this place, but my sweet tooth was screaming at me. So I wandered a few streets away and ended up getting something not at all Yorkshire in origin. Quite the opposite. I was drawn into a Cornish bakery location. Yes, I was very far away from Cornwall, but I was enticed by the siren song of a rhubarb, apple, and custard pasty, and also by the discounted prices of all the baked goods near closing time. Seriously, I adore rhubarb and hadn't been able to try one of these pasties yet, so I couldn't resist. You know I love a dessert pasty if you watched any of my Cornish pasty videos, so I'm gonna try this. I've never had it. Apple, rhubarb, and custard. It's just bursting with custard and apple, and the rhubarb, it's so tart. It's delicious. This is amazingly good. I love it. 10 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed this video about our adventures in York today. Please check out one of these other videos of our adventures in Yorkshire as well. Thanks so much for watching, and do something good in the world today.